Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you're ready to kick off 2025 with some really smart investment decisions.
Absolutely. And to help us do that, we're going to be taking a deep dive into this fascinating video presentation we found. This investors laid out their entire game plan for investing in 2025.
Yeah, and this isn't just some random person, right?
Right.
They seem to really know their stuff. Their take on the market, the trends they're following, it's all pretty compelling.
Oh, definitely. So what we're going to do today is really unpack their strategy, pull out those key takeaways, and hopefully give you some practical insights you can apply to your own portfolio.
Right, because that's the goal here, right? To help you guys make some smart moves with your money in 2025.
Exactly. So let's jump right in.
Okay, so the first thing that really struck me was how this investor sees the big picture. The overall market landscape, They're calling 2025 the year of, get this, sustainability, tech innovation, and global recovery.
Yeah, it's almost like those three things are all kind of intertwined, right?
Exactly. So how does someone listening to this, how can they actually capitalize on these trends?
Well, if you think about it, companies in renewable energy, artificial intelligence, healthcare technology, those are the sectors that could really see massive growth in this kind of environment.
Right, because everyone's talking about sustainability these days. And AI, that's just exploding, right?
Yeah, it's like the Wild West out there. But you got to remember, and this is crucial, past performance. It doesn't guarantee future returns. We've seen that happen before, like back in the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s. Lots of hype, but not every company delivered.
Totally. So hype is one thing, but this investor seems to have a pretty solid plan for actually navigating these trends, right?
Yeah, that's what impressed me. Their approach is all about diversification. They're splitting their portfolio pretty evenly between stocks, real estate, and then a mix of bonds and cash.
Okay, so they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. Smart move.
Exactly. It's kind of like building a house, You got to have that strong foundation first before you start adding all the fancy stuff.
I like that analogy.
So with the stocks, this investor is really focusing on those sectors we talked about, renewable energy, AI, healthcare innovation.
Yeah, those were the big three, right? And I got to ask, are those sectors really as promising as everyone says they are? It almost sounds too good to be true.
Well, they do align perfectly with the trends that this investor's identified. Think about it. The whole world is shifting towards sustainable practices, right? And AI, it's transforming industries left and right.
Yeah.
And healthcare, there's always going to be demand for new and better treatments.
Right. It's like those things are always going to be relevant no matter what's happening in the world.
Exactly. Think back to the early days of the internet. The people who invested in the companies riding that wave, they saw some serious returns. It's possible that these sectors could be similar, a kind of once-in-a-generation opportunity.
That's exciting. But I'm also a little nervous because now we're getting to the part of the portfolio that's labeled, and I'm quoting here, high growth, higher risk. Uh-oh. They're talking about emerging markets like India and Brazil, cryptocurrency, even startup investments.
Yeah, this is where things get a little more adventurous.
A little?
Yeah.
It sounds like they're playing with fire.
Well, it can be risky, for sure, which is why it's so important to understand your own risk tolerance, Yeah. Emerging markets, they definitely offer the potential for huge growth, but there's also political and economic risks, right? Things can be unpredictable.
Yeah, because those economies aren't as established as, say, the US or Europe.
Exactly. It's kind of like surfing, right? Super exciting, but there's always a chance you could wipe out.
And what about the cryptocurrency stuff?
Yeah.
They specifically mentioned decentralized finance and utility tokens. I gotta admit, I'm a little lost there.
Okay, so imagine a financial system where there are no banks.
Whoa, that's a big idea.
Right. That's what decentralized finance or DeFi is trying to create. And it's all built on this technology called blockchain.
Okay, I've heard of blockchain. It's what powers Bitcoin, right?
Yep, exactly. Now, with utility tokens, think of them like, arcade tokens. But instead of games, they give you access to specific things within a blockchain ecosystem.
So one token might let you use a certain platform and another one lets you vote on how that platform is run.
Exactly. So there's a lot of potential there, but it's still early days. It's a bit of a gamble.
Okay, so high potential, high risk.
Yeah.
Got it. And then there's the startup investments. So they're talking about using crowdfunding platforms, right?
Right. So that's a way to get it on the ground floor with companies that could be really disruptive, But you got to remember that a lot of startups, they just don't make it. It's like venture capital, but on a smaller scale.
Okay, so we've got diversification, some risky ventures. What else is in this roadmap?
Well, the thing that really stood out to me was their focus on building passive income streams. They mentioned dividend-paying stocks, rental properties, and robo-advisors.
Passive income, that's the dream, right? Just sit back and let the money roll in. But how realistic is that for the average person?
Well, it's not like a magic solution, but it can be a really powerful way to build wealth over time. You know, dividend stocks, they give you those regular payments. Rental properties, they generate cash flow every month. And robo-advisors, they're basically like having a robot financial advisor working 24/7 to manage your investments.
That sounds pretty awesome, like having your own personal Wall Street robot.
Exactly. It's almost like compound interest on steroids.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
So they're covering a lot of bases here. And then, of course, the investor really emphasized the importance of consistency and discipline, right?
Yeah, and that's something we hear all the time, right? But it's easy to get caught up in the moment, make impulsive decisions, especially when the market's going crazy.
Totally. So why is it so important to have discipline?
Think about the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? Slow and steady wins the race. That's true for investing too. Even when things get rough, even when you're feeling scared or uncertain, you got to stick to the plan.
Because freaking out and selling everything is never the answer.
Right. It's about having that long-term vision.
Okay, so market trends, diversification, high growth opportunities, passive income, and the importance of being consistent. Wow, we've covered a lot.
We have.
Oh, and I almost forgot. Their final tip: do your research and invest in what you understand. Pretty obvious, right?
You'd think so, but surprisingly, a lot of people, they jump on trends without really knowing what they're getting into. Like, remember those meme stocks a couple years ago? Some people made a ton of money really fast, but a lot of others lost big because they didn't do their homework.
Yeah, because following the crowd is not always the best investment strategy.
Exactly. So what do you think? How do you see all this applying to our listeners?
I think it all comes down to one question, really. How can you take these ideas, these strategies, and adapt them to your own unique situation? You know, your financial goals, your risk tolerance, all of that.
Right, because there's no one-size-fits-all approach to investing. It's all about figuring out what works best for you.
Exactly. And I think this deep dive has given everyone a really great starting point.
It really has. So what would be your advice to someone listening who's feeling inspired to take action?
I'd say, keep exploring these different investment areas, do your research, ask questions, and most importantly, make informed decisions that align with your own personal goals. And remember, the best investment you can make is in your own knowledge and understanding.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Happy investing.
Here's to a prosperous 2025.